Hey, my name is Jenny Penton, founder of Planner Perfect. I coach women how to write a better story through the power of scripting. In today's video, tips and tricks and hacks that I've learned for your goals for 2025. Hi, you guys. I'm glad to be back. I kind of had to take a little bit of a time away. As some of you may know, my husband suffered a stroke right after Christmas, and so it really sideswiped us tremendously. It's been very, very eye-opening, scary. It's been a whirlwind. Like, I had to almost take some time to sit and cry because I felt like I was running on sheer adrenaline. And so my husband too, as you know, was the back end and admin for Planner Perfect. And so I had to take that on immediately, which I mean, that was a learning curve. And so my husband was, in ICU for about a week, and then now for 2 weeks at a rehab center. My oldest boy had flew back home. My oldest daughter really helped. All my children had roles in how they helped and how they all pulled together. So that was obviously, I mean, when that happens, your kids and family are just always there, which was great. I have learned a lot through all of this, as my husband probably won't be home for another 2 to 3 weeks. And I feel like that's where the journey is going to really just start. He did have he still has where his whole right side, he can't move it. And, so that's the challenge, and that's where he's going. Also cognitive, not all the way there. So it's just more of a, it's going to be a journey and process. And not only that, but understanding why it happened and preventative measures for it not to happen again, and how he can be in the best health of his life. So, after all of that, I really feel like, when tragedy strikes, when things happen, right at the height of the new year, I had my goals. I had what I wanted to pursue. I knew where I was going and headed, and I couldn't wait to dive in and share with everyone. And you know what? This was a setback for sure. In my mind, everything was just a setback. It was tragic. It was traumatic to even watch my husband go through it and have to go, I even talk about how there was one point when my oldest boy was home and I couldn't even keep it together. Like, I felt like I was the glue and I just couldn't do it anymore. And the only one I could cry on was my oldest boy. Since he's 28, I was like, he's going to have to deal with it. And I cried on his shoulder because we were on our way to a business meeting together. He was helping me get Planner Perfect back up on its feet and hire out what John did. And he just helped me get it out of my system, that everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean? And I've learned quite a bit, and I just want to share with you, because one of the things that I learned, and it's like I knew, but until you can truly have a place where you can learn the lesson, it's like you can't, until you apply it, it doesn't seem real to you, that when bad things happen, when tragedy strikes, what is the lesson that I need to extract from this, to pull from, so that when I go through this to the other side, I'm greater, my husband's greater, we're all greater than where we were. And sometimes it takes a little bit of a toss up, not that needed to happen by any means, or not that what my husband's going through was for the good of the group. It's just that when these things happen, it's very, very important to, number one, reframe something to the benefit that it's truly for. There's really, instead of looking at it like, oh my gosh, this is a long road, this is a travesty, how am I going to do this? It was a lot of like, God, I've got nothing. I'm at like my end. Like, that's where my end was, you know, because I always feel as though, you know, there's nothing I really, my own personal self can't do. And that doesn't always involve God. That's like, I can do it. Like, I can do it. And I came to a place where I had no safety net. I was like, I don't know how to do the back end of Planner Perfect. I don't know how John ran things. I didn't even know how he ran our personal finances. Like, we've been together for 31 years come August, and it's like, I just trusted him with those business things, and he would share with me and all of these kind of things, what we were doing, where we were headed. But I wasn't into the numbers. I wasn't diving in deep. I wasn't investing with them. I didn't know how many savings accounts we had, or he would share with me, but it would like go in and out real quick, because I was either dealing, my roles was just more the children and homeschooling and the face of Planner Perfect, and just enjoying, you know, I was painting, and it was just all of those different things. And so there was a lot for me to learn. And so I looked at it as that, what is the lesson that I really want to extract? What do I need to know so I can be better at the end of this, you know? And I've really learned that, number one, I should have known more and paid more attention to the back end, and I should have paid more attention to my money. And my finances. So just to kind of pull that in together, it's like I'm even, you know, hiring a financial type of advisor who can help me actually, for the first time since I was married when I was in my early 20s, like, how does all this work? And how do these taxes work? And how do I actually do this, and just educate myself? So I'm like learning things, and I feel that it's beneficial for me. And I actually told my daughters, I pulled them aside and I said, you know, I really feel that it's important that you always stay very involved with your finances, your money, where it's going, and your budgets. Keep it, you know, make sure you know what you're doing too, just so that if something, you know, something is not solely where one person knows everything. And so that was something I really extracted. So I took some time to really understand everything that John has done and what he's doing, and maybe even improve upon it if that's what, you know, I feel like I need to do. It changed the way I spend money. It changed the way, just all of a sudden, I was like, dang, you know, it's like I just, unless my husband said something to me, I just, you know, I spent money. And it was like, okay, obviously I should chill. And it was just like now, especially with the medical bills and seeing our insurance and trying to get more insurance for him. We were through a really high deductible insurance. You know, it was just a mess. And I would have to say a big shout out to my son, who, again, Taylor, who really helped me. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know what I would have done, but he's really helped me get through every segment that I needed to go through for business, personal finance, bills that need to be paid, what was on auto pay, what wasn't, what's here, what's there, why is that there, why is that there. So everybody in the household should really know what's going on both sides, and that's just important. No one person should know a significant amount that the other spouse doesn't know. And that was one thing that I really had to extract from and learn. I also had to really be confident in knowing and be standing on God's truth that my husband's going to make a full recovery. And giving my husband that hope is very imperative, because even though cognitively, I always was telling the kids, you know, I'm glad your dad is not cognitively completely all there in his body state, because I think he would be more depressed. I think he'd be really upset and sad. He does know he has a hard time getting out things, like he knows stuff, but he can't get it out. But he also doesn't act like things are a big deal, which is like, I don't know if it's just a new side to John, or if it's just like, I'll be like, yeah, we had to get some new insurance, try to cover things. as we go through rehab. And he's like, rehabilitation for you. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, cool, okay. It was at a place of like dire straits if we did it. I don't know if you realize that, you know what I mean? And it's just he's just so lackadaisical about things. I'm blessed by that he's not yet, that his mind isn't beating his body. And that's just going to come with time. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm just reframing everything where this is all has its place. And I tell my husband, I just look him in the eyes. First, I kiss him whenever which I see him daily, and I go in and I kiss him. Of course, he'll call me, and he'll always tell me to come up and come out and see him. And I kiss him, and then I'll tell him, you're going to make a full recovery. It's going to be a little bit of a journey, but you're going to be healthier and in a better place than you ever were. And it's like all of those, maybe those different lifestyle choices he had or things like that, because he had hypertension, we found out through having the stroke, of just different lifestyle changes that we are going to definitely make, and how I'm going to be taking care of him, and he's going to make a full recovery, and praying over him. And that is what we're standing on, and what verse that we're standing on, that by his stripes we're healed. And whatever we ask for when we pray, believe that you've already received it and it'll be yours. So even as I go to sleep, I love seeing him as he was, but even better, and better health, and us talking about it kind of in my imagination, knowing full well that his full recovery is his. And I tell him that always makes him feel really at peace. And that is also something that, when push comes to shove, when things are right at its crux, at its apex, it's like, we stand on what God said, and you're going to get off all of the statins and the drugs and all of this when this is all said and done. And through a general practitioner and you changing your diet, we're going to be able to get off of these eventually. And again, you'll be at the height of your health. I've also learned that it's time for all of my sons to help. So during the hustle bustle, Planet Perfect, homeschooling, doing things, I really didn't have my sons do chores. I had a cleaning lady. I did a lot of the just stuff that kept the house up and running as much as possible, trying to toggle all of these different things, as well as painting and Zoom calls and learning with the boys and things like that. When this all came crashing down, I was like, one of the things I really want to do is probably, even though it sounds very helpful and I might bring her back, is again, I'm going to have to, and I've done this several times, but I need to let loose and cut loose my cleaning lady. Number one, I just don't know if I really wanted her here when John was here. Number one, I didn't know how he felt about it. Number two, I don't know, because he'll be here pretty soon. I just felt like, this is a time for the boys to get in here with me and to help clean the house and to learn some things about cleaning the house. And it's funny, is because my top 4 children, we didn't have cleaning ladies, and so they too now can learn, like their older siblings did, and how to take care of a home, how to clean a home, how to cook, and blah, 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 blah. So this is like the new curriculum for the Penton family, and that is to, even if my 16-year-old wants to just act like he doesn't want to do it, or my 11-year-old doesn't want to clean a bathroom, it's just, we're all going to rally together and we're going to do it. And listen, I got onto ChatGPT, game changer. I'm like, hey, tell me, set up a schedule for my family to clean, a good cleaning schedule for my family, and bam, like that. I just printed it out. It's easy to do, and it looks super amazing, and we've already been applying it these couple days, and it's been really, really amazing. So shout out to AI. So we're cleaning, we're getting all involved, we're kind of working together, we're helping John, my older boys. I have a 20-year-old home and my 16-year-old, who are over 6 feet and big guys, and they too will be able to help John in certain areas, and getting up and getting down as he regains mobility. So, again, learning that, my children need to learn, my youngest ones need to learn to take care of a home and clean, and it should have been done earlier. And so it's been no time as the present than to do it now and to take care of things. And that's been very valuable to us as well as a family, is just helping in all regards, and me just giving the boys more responsibility that they should have had in the first place. And so that was an eye opener for me. I don't even know what number we're on, but diet has always, I swear, I literally could, I just feel like I could be a doctor right now. I have been studying nutrition for a very long time, and I just feel like, if anything, a nutritionist. I've just studied it and studied it and studied it and studied it. And my husband used to always say to me, Jenny, you're taking a lot of time just reading and reading and reading, just to eat a balanced diet and be done. I'm like, because what does a balanced diet mean? And I don't think that benefits me. And I was always thinking about just me. And it was always about me, which it wasn't about me. It was about my children, and it was about me. And, it was always my ear, which I have this vagus nerve compression because of my cervical instability on my neck, and it was causing tinnitus and all this kind of stuff. And I was just always searching for what I need to do with my diet, and for my children that have different autoimmune and things like that. I was just always studying like I was a sponge, and I still am. And my husband would be like, please be done. Just be done. Just be done. I'm like, why? Why is it hurting you? I mean, I'm doing it while I'm folding laundry. It's fine. And it really has paid off, okay? Because just him in the condition that he's in, I just really know the route that I am going to take, and I am going to take him down the low carb route. He's never done low carb in his whole life. So it'll be gradual, and I will get him there so he has the least amount of side effects, but he needs to get off of all of these carbs, even if they're so-called good carbs, because sugar is the new disease inducing, it's just actually just a craze. It's like sugar, it's carbs, and it's seed oils. And then I've been with carbs, it's even the potatoes and the rice that can really spike up glucose. Now, I love Dr. Robert Lustig. I'm going to actually do a separate video just on what I've learned from different books. So I'd love to do that with you. This is coming from a place of more of a balanced state, a balanced way of eating in a way, but where you're eliminating sugar for the most part. It's just that you're really including fiber, and you're eating in a certain way that the fiber helps slow down your insulin from always being released, because every time you eat, when the glucose is risen. So insulin, that hormone, is one of the biggest things that was causing a big problem in everyone's lives. And even when I had all of my lab work done, I showed that I have a metabolic disorder with processing glucose. And again, that's like an insulin resistance. So it's really been kind of an epidemic of sorts with everybody. And it's just because we're just such carb loaders, where we don't ever cycle in and out and being metabolically flexible, of being able to go into ketosis and maybe going into eating some seasonal foods and then going back into more animal products and then going back out. You need to be able to really do that cycle. And there's so many different, there's just so much information on that if you want to find all that out. So for him, though, I do think that it's, the likelihood of another stroke. He had it was a hemorrhage stroke, so it was one of the worst. I need to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And so I'm going to go pretty full hog, and I'm not even going to play around. Sugar and fructose, it's just one of those things that's a huge problem, and I plan on just really making sure that he gets all of his carbs down. He's basically, he can have one of my salads with different meats and eggs and all of that, and we're going to go from there. And then we're going to be closely being monitored by a general practitioner when he's home. And especially with his eyes, he has double vision in his eyes, which has always been a problem. And he's wearing like a patch, because if he has just one, then he can see single, but with two, he sees double. So he's really working through it. He's just really working through it. So I want to get serious with his diet, and of course his lifestyle too, some changes. as well. So diet is just everything. And I'm starting to really understand some things about it. And we're going to talk about that in maybe another video. I know that I'm going to even start doing maybe some whole grain things for my kids and stuff, but I'm trying to really keep down that just no more white bread, white pasta, the potatoes or rice. But maybe for the kids, I might cook my rice and cool it in the fridge for a while and have it for the next day, or same with the potatoes and get those cooked. It reduces the starch, less of a spike, and so the body's just not so inundated with glucose spikes and insulin. So those are some things that I'm changing with my husband. Now I've been carnivore ish for a couple months now. I mean, since December, actually. My dogs love them. So yeah, it's I've tried to add in certain things and then I have to end up taking it out. So I was doing I did some cream and that didn't work out for me. And then I did nuts and I was eating way too much of those. And I would add nuts because I would make my own roasted nuts. It was so delicious. I'd go get some raw nuts, organic nuts, and then I would put them in the oven and I would actually rinse them under some water and then dry them off just a little bit, but they were still wet, so salt sticks. So I put Celtic salt on top and roasted them at 400 for 7 minutes and voila, so good. But I would overeat them for sure, and so I didn't want to overdo it. So anyways, I mean, this right here is really also too one of the biggest things, and the last and final thing is that if you own your own business, or if you are someone who, are more of the main person that was in the business, I'd have to say that this whole time I was, one of the main ones for the business, the artist of it all. If anything happened to me, Planet Perfect would go down, you know what I mean? And so, well, it would go down real easy, I should say. And I wanted to put systems in place. And so I've always wanted to do that. And I'd have to say John was always kind of against it at first because he just likes to hold on to things for as long as he can. But this just kind of gave me the opportunity to step in and say, you know what, it's time. I've always wanted to put systems in place so that I can be more readily available for women. And that was just something that's probably my top passion, is to be available for women, for lives, for YouTubes, for speaking engagements, to go out and meet women, to help women. And that's just where my heart is, more than, being behind the scene artist or something like that. So I put some systems in place, made some changes, hired things out, and getting through that process as we speak, and finally finding my momentum. And I really owe that a lot to being at peace. Getting through the grieving process was important. That was step number one. Don't stuff it under a rug and act like you're okay. So if I felt like crying, and if I feel like crying, I feel like crying and I do it. If, just ask my son, or in my alone time in the morning, I may just, do it. And one time I did it in front of John, and he's so sensitive, and he hugged me, and with his one good arm, and he knows, he's like, I wish I could take care of you and be here. And it's we had to have that conversation. So I'd have to say that going through the grief, it's so important. You can't hold that in. You got to let it flow through you. And it's going to be an ongoing process, probably even when he's here. And he's going to need a lot of my help. It's going to be an ongoing process. So going through that is something that go through the grief. And then it's knowing that God's got your back, knowing that God is within you and he's always with you, and to not worry and to not go into despair, that all my needs are met, that, my husband is taken care of, and my next steps are available to me when I know that and I trust that. And so that was my new mantra. It was God's taking care of all of my needs. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Let the weak say they are strong. Let the weak, I never really understood. You read these verses okay, I love that. But when you really are in it, it's wait, the Holy Spirit brings up to my remembrance. Let the weak say, I am strong. I'm strong. I can do this because God is within me. And he's going to guide me every step of the way. And it's going to seem effortless because it's not like I hear some megaphone of God to, okay, go here. It's just automatic. And ideas come to me when I'm at peace. And, one final thing that's been a game changer for me, 100%. And if this is something that you could do and grab for yourself, I highly recommend. And it's the Aura Ring. Girls, I got this Aura Ring a couple weeks before John. This happened to John. And it was right after Christmas. And I got it I remember I was laughing about it because he was wanting to get it for me, but I got it. And it's just like Mother's Day. It's like, I just get what I want. And if they, whatever anyone gets me, it's all cool. You know what I mean? Because I do all of the gift giving, all of the wrapping, all of the Christmas. Usually women are the magic, right? Well, I just make sure I take care of myself too. But John was like, oh, wow. Oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? But I knew my ring size that I wanted finger to go on. And I knew what, it's actually, I put it underneath my wedding ring, actually. I kind of like it like that rather than being so, because I already wear some rings. So anyway, I like it. I like it on my ring finger. And the stats and the metrics it takes, girls, it's changed my life and flipped my life upside down. No kidding. And I would be probably living in flare-ups while I'm healing myself of my tinnitus level, because usually it's really low and it's just gotten lower and lower and lower as my neck is getting fixed and my diet is like no insulin. I keep my insulin level low and I'm listening to that. So I've been really just improving. But when I'm stressed, I get a spike. Okay, now here it gauges your sleep. It talks about if you recover from your sleep, if you are not restoring yourself during the day, like are you even sitting down for a fraction of a second? It's like, do you have strain in your body? Like it can sense sickness or something going on in your life, like anxiety or things like that. Your cardiovascular health, all of it, your heart rate variability, your heart rate, all of it. It's just the most phenomenal thing to see. And they take metrics, like they give you some time before things start opening up for you to read, because they want to get kind of the lowdown of how you operate. And man, when I started having the metrics of like my stress levels really pop up, or if, when I would really can I just say that my main mode of operation as of until the Aura Ring was nonstop. This was my whole life since my 20s. Nonstop, never sit down. Like I was taking care of my grandchildren up until last year full time, and running a business, and taking care of my own children, and doing YouTube videos, and walking, running. I was doing Orange Theory. I was having mental stress with certain family members that almost turned my life upside down, where I had to do serious boundaries on. There was a lot. So when I look at my life right now I just know, like, for instance, it started when I really started to see the stress after this happened with John. My metrics were showing that I had no restorative state to my body and that my sleep sucked. I was like, oh, of course. But what's restorative mean? So you get these little blue bars saying, okay, you're restored. They want you to just rest for a little bit during the day so that you can kind of restore your stress that you are by good stress and bad stress. So like if you're exercising and moving and walking and thinking hard and just busy. And that was me, just constantly, like my life is literally what I used to do is I'd get up at 5, I start standing up at 7, and I don't sit down till 8 o'clock at night. That's Jenny. That is the real me. Like my husband's always like, my God, woman, sit down, and I'm like, I got things to do, My philosophy back then, which was not like a month ago, was you can sleep when you're dead. I just move. And not anymore. This Jenny, no, no. And I'll say, my app is saying that I am living up in the high stress for a while, good and bad. I know what I'm doing. That I know it's like, I was sad here. I was stressed about something. Okay, I need to calm down. I need to get in the Word of God. Here, I'm like, okay, you know what? I was with John and I was busy and, going to see him. And then I came home and I cleaned and started dinner and I did all this and I was learning out. I was doing some of my finances. Okay, I can see why I was in an engaged state and a stressed state. Now I better go sit down with some tea and just sit down and read the Bible or go through my planner or read a book and just unwind a little bit before I go into my next project. And it's been an absolute game changer. Like Jenny, sit down. That's the first game changer. Number 2, it shows now I'm getting more into a restorative state. Now my health is actually, it'll list your overall health and it's saying you are resilient to stress. You are restoring your body during the day. And it tells me I need to work on resting more during the day to restore my reserves. And gosh, do I get it. It's a game changer. I can't. I thought, I don't need it. I've got an Apple Watch. Oh no, the Apple Watch is nothing like this. And, it's been a game changer, just a complete game changer. I just recommend it. If you get the Aura Ring, change your life. That's how I look at it. I mean, maybe it's been around for a little bit already, and maybe I'm just the one who's, late to the party. But I'll tell you this, it's been a game changer for me for 2025 to be able to measure the metrics of how I was living and how I even got into the state that I am in, that I'm trying to recover my own health and how that's right. And then I can apply it to my children's lives, and then tweaking their diet through what happened to John and making sure I care for myself, that I process feelings, that I understand more of my own finances so that it's only right. I mean, you need to know your stuff and you need to learn. And there was a lot of things I'd brush off and say, I don't want to learn that. Well, push comes to shove. It's time for Jenny to learn taxes. Yeah. So, and it's time to know banking and where my money is. And it's actually become empowering to me to be a woman that I don't foresee me actually having John the whole year. I'm leaving room for that as he recovers. And it's like, it's me building this business and teaching women and creating product and planning and just, it's me. And I'm excited about it and learning about business on the back end. And it's stuff that, it's where I have to. I'm here for it, and God's guiding me. And with God, all things are possible, and God's going to guide the way. I mean, which way? Time will tell. God's going to show the way, and He's already led me in a lot of ways. Taylor's been in here helping me, like calling me. We've been talking to each other daily. He's got his hands in my finances too, trying to guide things, and we're, we found all of John's passwords. Thank God. He had everything. At least he had everything all over his desk that we could find. And then all the older kids that we just dissecting through finances and passwords and QuickBooks and this. And oh my gosh. So anyway, you guys, this was a lot to say that for 2025, it has a different kind of feel and look, a lot of learning. And my word for the year is balance. It's like you can't just go and expect your body to live to a long life, And I've beat my body down. Not only that, I've had 8 children. And nursed them till they're 5. And then loved up and raised grandchildren by watching them daily. And it's like, I never really thought, well, sit down and feed your body well. And sit down. That was the lesson for Jenny. Sit the frick down. It's like I never did. It's like just go. And I think it's in me. Yeah, I'm just kind of wired that way. I definitely I would force myself a lot when it came to the later evening. Like, how that Dunkin' Donuts guy would always be like I was in the 70s or 80s. He's like, I gotta make the donuts. It's like 3 a.m. Well, that was me. It was like, I gotta clean the kitchen. I've gotta paint. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. But anyway, that was me. But I would do it tired, not tired, and you can sleep when you're dead. Well, not after I read the book about his last name's Walker, about why we need sleep, and I've been going through that. I'm going to start doing kind of a little book club series too, where we're just kind of go over a book and what I've learned and give you the key points. But I've really learned a lot. So it's balance. It's being able to. And some will say that there's no such thing as balance, that when you're really going for something, that something's got to give. I get that, and it is true in a lot of elements. But one thing I'm not willing to sacrifice is my health and my children's lives. So I have children at home, and I have my health. And so I've got my health and I've got my children, and I'm not willing to sacrifice that. So whatever it takes, where I am being able to be balanced with my up and go and my rest and digest. That's let myself just sit and, open up my Bible more in the middle of the day, just beginning to just enjoy the process and not be in such a hurry. And I think a lot of times it was also a way for me that was dysfunctional, in a way that I would stay so busy that I would distract myself with things that maybe I didn't like, or if I was frustrated in a certain relationship, not within my own realm, but in other realms, that I would get, busy to distract myself. And that's not what I'm going to do anymore. It's more being aware, being in the present moment, processing emotions, sitting down and looking at them even, and letting them hit me square fat in the face and just punch me in the face. And then grieving over it if I need to. And then going where God leads next. I can't go to the next level. I can't go to the next step until I process what I'm holding on to. And you hold on to things when you don't give them up, when you run and hide or put your head in the sand. You are keeping them within your body, and so you're trapping them in the body and you're holding on to it. So you got to look at it, let it hit you, just cry and get it out, and then let God just let it wash you fresh and brand new, and then start anew. And that's been my process. I feel like my 2025 started off already better than it would have without this tragic event. And I look forward to see all of God's mercies and all of the victory we're going to have, and all of the momentum we're going to have, and the changes in a positive way with me, my children, my husband. Our relationships as a whole are going to be improved and better. Everything is going, it's like life is precious. It's like we could have lost him. We just all got slapped across the face. It's a rallying around. It's like, and though we always were close, it's just like this was too close and too personal. It was like, how can we take care of ourselves with our diet? How and make sure that we're really knowing how to eat and not play around. It brings a lot of insight to how and what changes I need to make, and I'm grateful for it. There's always lessons to be learned in every tragedy, so that it can boomerang you and shoot you further out than you ever were before, and whatever you thought. Whenever there's something that's perceived to seem bad, it's presented to you to be able to have victory over and extract the lessons. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And my husband, I can't wait for his recovery. I long for him to be home. We miss him. But we can't wait for God's total victory, because it's already ours. So girls, that's my little tips, my tricks, things I'm learning right out of the gate out of 2025. I can't wait to just really plug back in and be here for you guys. I have lots to share, lots of fun things coming. And I'm here for it, but in a balanced way. Until next time.